The first caucus in Iowa was obviously a mess. Nobody disagrees with that. But we might disagree about what is going to come next. There's very real fears that the winner, or even the person in second place, whether it ends up being Bernie Sanders or Pete Buttigieg, that some of the win might have been taken out of their sails by the messed up process, which continues to today. And joining us now to discuss, Ryan Grimm, back on the show.
Good to be here.
So Ryan, I wanted you to see, I saw the 538 updated projections this morning. They believe that Bernie Sanders has now about a 49% chance of taking the entire thing. In second place, you have no one, and then Biden's in third at 17%. We also saw that the fundraising data today, that in January of this year, Bernie Sanders raised $25 million, which is more than any other candidate raised in a quarter last year. So if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter and you're worried that, man, they ruined Iowa for him, how worried do you think that we should be?
Well, if you look at those numbers, you shouldn't be terribly worried. You should, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, you don't want to take your foot off the gas. You never want to take anything for granted ever. But no, like in some ways, there could be some benefit for the way that it rolled out. If he's probably raising a ton of money from angry people who are watching this unfold. When they eventually do announce that he won, if they announce that he won, that'll be another boost. It could be crazy if it takes them so long to do their recanvass that they announce the results on Tuesday, which is the same day where he's very likely to win New Hampshire. Now, Buttigieg got a bump out of this, but he was going to get a bump coming out of Iowa anyway because he legitimately outperformed expectations, and that's what the media care about. How did you do? Not how did you do, but how did you do relative to how they thought you would do?
Yeah.
And people thought that he was fading, and so here he comes. Whether he comes out the delegate winner or just barely losing the delegate count and losing the popular vote to Sanders, he beat Biden, he beat Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
And so he's going to get that bounce, but that bounce is going to be ultimately artificial in the sense that the country knows that he's kind of a dead man walking when it comes to Nevada, South Carolina, Super Tuesday, or anywhere where significant numbers of non-white people are voting. So the other thing that Sanders has going for him is the competition. It's not like he's up against a generic establishment candidate. If Biden loses New Hampshire and then again in Nevada, that's brutal for him. Elizabeth Warren's path is narrowing to maybe just a contested convention. Buttigieg, like we said, doesn't have a path in states where there are non-white people. That leaves Michael Bloomberg, who is ultimately going to have to face real people. He can't just run television ads for 6 months. So when that starts to happen, that could be problematic for him because he's not the kind of person that connects with regular voters.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the Buttigieg thing. That's what I've wondered why there isn't more conversation about the fact that all of this, his whole strategy appears to be a gamble on the first two states, and then just let's see what happens after that.
Yeah.
Have you spoken with anyone on the Buttigieg team? Do they acknowledge the lack of an articulated plan going forward?
Well, yes and no. I mean, so that is their plan, and they what they would say privately is that there isn't another path. When you have a candidate who had a close to 0% name ID a year ago, your only shot at the nomination is to win Iowa, win New Hampshire, pick up momentum, and just drive all the way to the convention. He doesn't have the ability to raise the kind of money that he would need to kind of match Bloomberg on television in Super Tuesday states. He polls terribly with Hispanic and Black voters, so Nevada and South Carolina are pretty much off the table. So he's just trying to win the first two primaries and then create an aura of inevitability. And given what the alternatives are, that's about the best he can do. And I think they consider themselves to be playing with house money at this point.
Yeah.
It was just as a kind of practical matter of raw politics, they deserve credit for getting as far as they did, even if they did so cynically or whatever else. just to take someone out of nowhere and win the Iowa caucuses or finish second in the Iowa caucuses is a significant just achievement. But it's not clear that they really had any other path to the nomination. So, like I said, it's House money, so they're just gonna keep spending it, and whatever else they've raised his profile, and he's going to be with us the rest of our lives.
Yeah. I wish that we had a lot more time because I want to focus on some more candidates. Unfortunately, we don't, but we should definitely talk after New Hampshire, and especially if it's New Hampshire and the final results for Iowa. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Ryan Grim, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
You got it.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.